Hi there, I'm Connor, and this is MASV Insider. This is where we give you updates on our product roadmap, where we are, where we're going, so you can stay up to date with MASV and all your file transfer needs. Today, we've got a lot to talk about. The highlight, of course, being MASV Express. We talked about this last time on MASV Insider, and we're delivering files even faster to Amazon S3 and a few other integrations coming up. Now, of course, with MASV Insider, we love to start off with our MASV Mission Log. This is where we give a rundown of everything we've done since the last MASV Insider. So last year, about 6 months ago, December 5th, we had our last MASV Insider. We had quite a big MASV Mission Log and lots to talk about here as well. Since our last Insider event, we've introduced custom forms for automations, which we'll get into a bit here on our show today. We've also released integrations with OpenDrives, Cumulo, Mimir, and we have a brand new integration coming up with Mistika workflows that'll automate a lot of workflows. We've also gone ahead and introduced SSO for download links, so we'll talk about authenticating downloads and uploads through MASV portals, which is a really exciting new security feature. And I'll have Majid on here talking a bit about that. We've also optimized performance when delivering to storage devices. So last year we introduced MASV Agent, which is our software appliance that lives next to or on your storage that makes it available as a MASV integration. So we can deliver directly to that storage point, and we can even pull files off of that to send them to other folks. But we've improved the performance of that. We've added things like a cache layer and network storage settings to help you get the most out of your hardware. And we also have improvements to our custom form, the ability to sort options, really kind of quality of life, ease of use features that we've integrated. We've also improved our Slack integration, so you can do channel or contact specific notifications. I want to get started with our CTO and interim CEO, Majid. Majid, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you very much, Connor.
One of our new features that we're talking about today is MASV Express, and it came from exactly that, where folks are saying, hey, we need to use MASV, we want to use MASV, but it has to work this way. And that brings us to MASV Express, and specifically MASV Express to S3, which, if you can give me a little bit of a breakdown of what MASV Express is, who it's for, how it works, and maybe we start with, how does MASV work today? I think that may be a better starting point there for folks.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Like, one of the key design decisions we made at the very early going at MASV is, first of all, it's going to be always web-based. So we're not going to reinvent the web. That makes it accessible to a lot more users, a lot more reliable, a lot more simpler to adopt. And you get the benefit of the scale of the web, right? That basically all humanity depends on these days. And part of that was we made a decision at the very early going is all content that MASV transfers has to transfer through MASV's network. What that gives you from an advantage perspective is global scale right off the box, right? So you turn on MASV, you get global scale immediately. You don't have to go provision infrastructure, talk to IT, and spend a lot of time in just migrating or building workflows. You get unlimited bandwidth. So in theory, you can get up to 10 gigabit per second in most major metropolis across the planet. So these are the benefits that MASV has built, and we built that with a model called store and forward. So content gets to our network, and then we distribute it to wherever it needs to go in the other end. Another advantage of that is also, with that one single copy getting transferred to our network, we can propagate it to more than one destination at the same time without having to transfer that content again and again and again. I think you called in the past chain of actions, right? So for example, shoot on set, moving that to editorial, but another copy goes to archival. You don't have to send it twice or transfer it twice. The disadvantage of this model, the store and forward model, is that that handoff that needs to happen from where the content is originating, upload, transfer into a MASV network, that has to complete for us before we send it further downstream. So the total turnaround time of delivery is increased. Right? For the experience on the uploader side, they don't feel it because for them, files moved out of my system, the transfer is done. But MASV sends them in the background, that is not done yet. That's still processing. MASV Express turns that around and makes it almost instant, whereby we're streaming content as soon as it's getting to us in small chunks instead of waiting for the entire delivery to complete, while preserving the advantages that MASV has: the global scale, the unlimited bandwidth, and the one-to-many without having to introduce all these frictions again. So it's a huge innovation, a huge shift in the way we do things from the old model of store and forward into what is known as cut-through in networking sort of terminology, and while protecting the benefits of MASV, where if there's an outage on the receiving end, if this is going to on-prem, it doesn't propagate down to every contributor. If there's congestion, it doesn't propagate. So we're going to preserve that feature and functionality of MASV.
You know, the store and forward model, a lot of our competition loves to point that out as a weakness when they're saying, oh, here's why you shouldn't use MASV. But that also is our superpower, right? Which is we can do that massive to many workflow. We can put those files into multiple destinations through a single upload. Now with MASV Express, we're not only meeting that customer demand for, hey, I want this to be available instantly, but we're also keeping that advantage.
We hear a lot from organizations in sports and news broadcasts, for example. The turnaround time is very important, right? Someone down in the field in a broadcast truck and they're shooting the event and they want to cut these highlights as soon as possible. That improve in efficiency gives them a lot of value and bringing content faster than competition.
So right now, MASV Express is working to AWS S3 today, right? Yep. And we've talked about the next thing that's going to work with MASV Express is MASV Agent. For those who aren't familiar with MASV Agent, could you give a quick breakdown of that?
Basically, MASV Agent is a software appliance that you can install on your infrastructure. It can run on your storage or adjacent to your storage, where it makes your storage as part of the MASV network. So we can deliver into and from it without having to open a port, which is very important. You don't need to involve IT at all. Still, we still protected that. It's still going to be running on top of web technologies. So it's using HTTPS, it's using WebSockets, but it allows you to bring that infrastructure and integrate it into MASV as if it's any other cloud storage that you can interface with.
So in near real time, we're going to be able to deliver files from MASV directly to on-prem solutions, which, you know, a lot of people are living in a hybrid world, right? Yeah. They have cloud storage, they have on-prem storage. Because we're talking about MASV Express and specifically MASV Express to S3, I want to actually jump in and talk a little bit about some testing that we did. And I'm actually going to bring in Matt Sobkowitz, our solutions engineer, to chat about that. Majid, I'll see you again soon, okay?
Thank you very much, Connor.
Matt, thank you so much for joining us. I want to talk about MASV Express, and we've done some testing. You and I have talked about it, privately offline. Yep. Now we get to talk about it publicly. All the tests we've done. Take me through kind of why we've done the test this way and what we're looking to simulate with them.
So in the first case, what I want to showcase here is a single large file, right? So this can be a single large, an MXF file or a large MP4 file or just some raw file that's come in. It's 100 gig in size. I'm on a 1 gig connection and I want to get that content into MASV, right? The way our service works today, we receive that footage and we only transfer it when MASV has received it, right? Kind of to what Majid talked about earlier. But now with MASV is we're able to deliver those files as we're also receiving it, right? So it might have taken us 1,000 seconds to receive that file, and then it might take us 1,000 or 2,000 seconds to transfer to where it needs to go to next. With MASV Express now, we're able to showcase that that single large file. Now, as we're receiving it, we're starting to do that transfer on the first few bytes that we start to receive of it, right? So in this particular workflow, we're showing that this is almost a 3.5 or 3.2 times improvement of that workflow, right? So we're able to transfer your files still through MASV, but get it to your environment. That could be an S3, could be your storage gateway, in the same time it took you to upload it, right? Which is a huge benefit. And then we get down to the next scenarios. Maybe I've got a few smaller files, 20 gig files I need to upload as well. And same thing goes is, as soon as that uploader starts, MASV is going to grab it and we're going to kind of start that transfer as it completes. So in this particular workflow, again, this is kind of a 1.5 times improvement, right? So still a great improvement, because the one thing we're doing here is, we're not changing the network of the uploader, right? That's always a limitation of the uploader themselves, right? So we're going to try to make sure that as long as they're able to upload their max capacity, once we get it, we're just going to transfer it to where we need to put it as soon as possible as well. And same thing goes, if you have those same 6 large files, but you have a faster internet connection, we're able to get it to there even faster because that upload is faster, which gives us that content quicker for it to move to your location.
You brought up something really interesting there, right? Which is bandwidth. And when we talk about those kind of point-to-point solutions like Aspera or Signian or anything like that, yep, you're always limited to your slowest contributor, yep, right? So I could be sending files at 10 gigabits per second, but if the receiver only has 30 megabits per second, that's about as fast as we're going to go.
Exactly.
Yes. So how does MASV Express change that?
me as the receiver, I'm always limited to what my own bandwidth is as well, right? If I have 10 people who have 10 gigabits connection, but I only have one, they're also going to be limited by 1 gigabit because that's what my network is. But because we're hosted on, AWS, we're hosted worldwide, we don't have caps. So we can have 10 people, we can have 10,000 people all opening at 10 gigabits to us. And then when they're downloading, yeah, their own download speed will be slow, but we're going to be optimizing for that. But their end receivers, or they're the uploaders, they're not experiencing that detriment of your slowed bandwidth, right? So the upload capacity is never impeded by other people's activity by using Massive. There's no limitation on our end how Express is going to transfer. We're going to receive that content from all your contributors, and then we're going to basically, once Express starts to do its thing, it's going to not be limited by your own bandwidth. It's just because now we're on that huge backbone of AWS that we're able to get those high performances from us to where they needs to get to.
So MASV Express is a game changer is basically what I keep hearing.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, now what we're basically bringing to the table is the idea that, a lot of people are used to this point-to-point, right? Going from my location directly to another location. But if that location has network issues, they're offline, they have a power outage, well, that uploader can't now upload, right? They're stuck. While with Massive, because everything comes to us first, and then we deliver on, with Express, even if that service is down, as soon as it comes back online, it will start that upload. But from the end user perspective, they don't see that downtime, or they don't see that outage. You benefit from our kind of our global and our store and forward kind of concept of what Massive and how it operates, but still giving the end user the best performance possible.
That's awesome, Matt. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. Majid, thanks for coming back. So I want to talk a bit about some enterprise security features a little more in depth. And one of the newest ones that we have is SSO and MFA authentication.
So MFA is something we added, I think, last year. And it's been proven that adding MFA always decreases the number of cyber incidents by quite a lot. So last year we added single sign-on with SAML, which allows you to bring in users through your identity provider, like Entra ID, formerly known as Azure Active Directory, instead of having to provision these users into Massive one by one. So it makes onboarding and offboarding a lot easier, especially if you're working with a lot of employees or a lot of contractors. And what we added this year was we layered on top of these features to allow more controls on which they can and can't do within Massive. So we introduced single sign-on access for portals. Instead of having to invite them to their account as members, now they can only do certain actions like only ingesting content in. And so in a similar vein, to download content, they need to sign in with an identity provider that you control to be able to download that content. So you have full control over the cycle of content getting in and out through Massive.
I know that this was something that our users really wanted, right? They came to us, they said, look, for us to use Massive, we have to have this. And then what did we do?
We just added it.
We delivered, right?
Absolutely. And I think that's something we take great pride in. We build this product with our customers.
Well said. I think that that's 100% accurate, especially because even in my short time here, I have seen a lot of these enterprise features and a lot of product features be requested and then also be executed, right? And you'll see at the beginning when we talked about that MASV Mission Log, right? That's a lot of stuff to ship since we did our last MASV Insider in December. There's another feature on here that I have listed. This does not strike me as an enterprise feature to begin with. So the feature that's upcoming is something called Zipless browser downloading. So for anybody who's familiar with Google Drive, you have a file that exceeds a certain amount of gigabytes and that needs to be zipped. And sometimes it's multiple zip files and you sit there waiting for it to zip and then it downloads and it's so annoying. And with Massive, we do zip files when we're downloading through the browser. But this new upcoming feature, not only is it just a hallelujah to folks who are used to that Google Drive workflow, but I feel like zipless browser downloading is kind of leading us towards something. Can you talk a bit about this feature, where it came from, and where we're going?
So first of all, why do you even need to zip files to download in the browser to begin with? So browsers cannot download a folder. So structure, when you have a folder that has multiple files in it, you can't download them. You can only download individual files. And most browsers, they have built-in rudimentary downloader that can only download individual files. So if you have a folder that someone shared with you or a lot of files that are there and any structure, you either have to download them individually and then recreate the structure yourself, which is really, really not fun, or the service would create a zip to contain these files in a structure, and then you extract it on your computer, and it represents the structure that was sent to you. That's why they really exist, not to compress, but more to preserve and archive a structure. With this new innovation with MASV, we allow you to download a file or multi-files or folders in any structure without having to download a zip. So it downloads exactly as you have it, as you received it, into your computer in one-to-one manner. Now, there are a lot of advantages to this. So first of all, the problem with zip files is you have to wait for them to be generated. You need double the space to extract them. So if you're receiving 100 gigabytes, you need 200 gigabytes of storage because you need 100 to store the file and then another 100 to extract it. And you need to wait for the extraction to happen. So rather than also, and on top of waiting for the download to complete, now have to wait for the extraction to happen. And the extraction can take a long time, especially if you're extracting from the same disk that you're writing into. All of these go away, right? You don't have to wait for a zip to be generated. You don't need double the space. You don't need for extraction to complete. So you get the exact structure right away in a single operation.
My big question, though, and I think the question that a lot of people are going to be asking is, using MASV to get zipless browser downloads, do I have to download anything or install anything?
Nope.
No.
Nothing. Until now, you could do that with MASV using our optional desktop app. It gives you other advantages as well, where you could avoid the zip, but that means you have to install an app. And a lot of times, especially when for folks who are in end client delivery, they don't want their client to download or install an app. Or if you're a large organization, you don't want your employees or your contractors to install an application on top of your endpoint. So with this, you don't have to install anything. Right, so that's one key advantage, is you avoid having to install software. And on top of that, it gives you two more advantages. So one, because now we take control over the download flow from the rudimentary browsers downloader, we give you better speed. So we can saturate your network connection even on the download. And the other advantage is also better reliability. The browser can only try hard enough and then give up. We're taking all of our transfer pipelines, reliability transfer pipelines from the known uploader that we've had for years, and putting that on the download side, so you get the benefit of it can recover from outages, it can recover computer going to sleep, and you get the pause resume functionality all one place, so you don't have to depend on your browser to implement these features for you.
Our new zipless browser downloading function, does that work with MASV Express?
Not currently, but that's really the plan, is once we tie it all together, imagine this. I'm sending a delivery to someone else on the receiving end, and if it's a person, instead of waiting for the transfer to complete, waiting for the zip, they can download while the upload is happening at the same time.
When we talk about the Signians and Asperas of the world, right, other managed file transfer services, they can do that, but in terms of, you need a plugin, you need a sometimes proprietary hardware, right? Like you need time to install these things and set these things up.
Open ports, yep.
And then what we're talking about is, no, you can do this like that without an account, and you can start downloading things.
Absolutely.
So we do have a couple other enterprise features that are coming up. One thing is automations and metadata. Right now with the MASV desktop app, we can set up automations to both receive files, but also to upload files to MASV, whether that's directly to MASV to send as a package later, or sending it to a MASV portal. And one of the great things about those portals is that we can collect metadata. Now, with automations, previously it wasn't possible to do an automation to a portal that required metadata. But now
you absolutely can.
So a user downloads that desktop app, they could set a watch folder, and when those files land in there, what happens?
So when they set up that automation, the watch folder automation, they can start configuring their metadata field associated with that automation, and just set it and forget it once, and then every transfer that goes to that watch folder inherits all that metadata at once, instead of having to do that manually, or kickstart it with a human dragging and dropping files.
I'm really excited for where we're going and what we have right now. Thank you for joining me, and we'll see you on the next MASV Insider.
Thank you very much, Connor. Pleasure as always.
Next up, I want to bring Jess Lee, our customer success manager, on to talk a bit about our customer success experience. Hey, Jess, thank you so much for joining me. I was hoping you could do a bit of intro for yourself and talk a bit about what you do here at MASV.
So I'm Jess Lee. I work on the customer success side of things over here at MASV. And what our team does and why we exist is to really just make sure that every one of our users has a consistent and a seamless experience when they do use our platform or even app or reach out to us. We want to make sure that you make the most out of it while you have your time here. You know, your time is valuable, and including hearing back from you in terms of feedback or anything that you think that can be improved or is missing.
So, I've been talking with Majid, I've been talking with Matt as well, and something that keeps coming up is, MASV is co-developed with its customers. Can you explain a bit about what that is and what that means?
At MASV, we don't actually build features just out of the blue. We love hearing directly from our customers in terms of what their pain points are or were from previous transfer platforms that they've used in the past, and really use that feedback as data to work into the features that we're looking to build in our future roadmaps. And especially when it comes to like data transfer, we want to make sure that we can help build and iterate on features that will optimize your workflow, either in terms of like the reliability or speed. So anything that you have to say, we would love to hear back from you, collect it, and bring back to our engineers to continue to develop.
So if I'm, a massive customer, a massive user, and I have an idea for a feature or an integration, because we love hearing about integrations that people want, how do I reach out to you and say, hey, it would be great if MASV had this?
Yes, so you can reach out to us in a number of ways. If you reach out to support@massive.io, you will 100% of the time receive a response from one of us over here at Customer Success. We won't leave you hanging. It won't just go to the void or anything like that, as some of the other softwares might allow. The other way would be to reach out through our chatbot if you prefer a non-direct and non-human contact. Our chatbot will be able to help direct you to the right resources and handy articles that we have on our platform.
Now, Jess, before we say goodbye here, I would love to know what's something about MASV that you wish more people knew about.
So one feature, or I guess app, that is totally underused is our desktop app. We have a lot of customers that do use it and they do love it. It's hard for them to actually go back to using the web app because it's so reliable, so efficient, so secure, and has hidden advanced features, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But yeah, the desktop app is something that not a lot of our users actually use, and actually it's free, and it's included when you do sign up for an account today.
So in the desktop, because I have a favorite feature in the desktop app, but in the desktop app, what's your favorite specific feature?
So we have something that's called watch folders. And this is basically an automation that you can set up. Again, this is something specific to the desktop, not available on our web app. But it will make your life 100 times easier, I promise. You can set up a watch folder for any files that you're looking to download directly into any location, cloud server person, and you set it and forget it. So it's something that will save you a lot of time. You don't have to wait to click download when you do receive a package from whoever that you're receiving it from. So that is definitely my absolute favorite. It's a time saver, game changer, all the good stuff. So
That's fantastic, Jess. Thank you so much, and I can't wait to see you on the next MASV Insider. So next up, I want to bring on Jean Villeneuve, who is our Chief Revenue Officer. Jean, thank you for joining me.
It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be with MASV as well. It's actually a real pleasure to be here sitting live with you, Connor.
Jean, you have been with MASV for about 2 months now?
Correct. Yes. I think tomorrow will be exactly 2 months with the business.
I want to talk about a bit your expectations or what you thought of MASV before you started here 2 months ago.
I didn't realize how big and how much data is being moved through the platform. And I didn't expect to find a company with a user base that's that passionate about our product. Like when I went to NAB, we had customers come by where, much to my surprise, we're saying, look, I just want to come by and tell you, no complaints. I love the product. It's great.
Well, it's interesting about that because, to provide some context too, like we had a meeting room at NAB. We didn't necessarily have a booth that was
That's right.
visible on the floor that someone would say, oh, hey, there's MASV. I got to go say hi. They came and found us.
They did, yes. And they'd say things like, you have to find a way to get this company that I'm using MASV to deliver my finishing files to them so they can go to production. But I'm using MASV and telling them to use it so that I can get the files to them more quickly. They love it, but I want to get them to use it across their entire workflow. And this is where the other thing I discovered is that not only is the product phenomenal for a lot of individuals and agencies and some traditional sort of TV and movie studios, but the product has grown so much that it has these incredible features that allow you to just scale infinitely. It's secure. It's reliable.
That reliability aspect, right, of being able to scale so quickly and not having to contact anyone, that's a lot different than what our competition does, right, in terms of managed file transfer, where sometimes if you need more bandwidth, you have to pay a little bit more, or you need to deliver to some different cloud locations, for example, where as Massive, as we're talking about right now, you don't even need to contact us. We've made it so seamless that you can go into an integrations tab, add that integration. We walk you through it if it's something more complex like an AWS bucket, or if it's something a little easier like Dropbox or Frame.io, and you can deliver to multiple of those locations right then.
Correct. Yeah, and that is a really good point to make, because the feedback we got from a lot of our from our existing customers and a lot of the larger prospects that are now coming our way is that a lot of the incumbents, the competitors that have been in the market for 10 plus years, their product is brittle. They got a lot of technical debt, and they failed to embrace the cloud. If you look at our product feature portfolio over the last 12 to 18 months, is that we've embraced cloud and hybrid. So if you look at the work that we've put into the storage gateway and the capabilities that we're now connecting to a lot of hybrid storage devices, so that's also opening up the enterprise ecosystem and making it so that the Massive product fits better. The more we can support the enterprise ecosystem, the better it is for our customers to get more value and to extend the use case of the Massive platform.
Yeah, I think that's also another great example of what we've talked about a lot on Massive Insider this edition, is that our customers really drive our development, right?
Yeah.
And SGO Mistika put Massive into their product because Massive users were like, hey, we really need to have Massive inside of Mistika. And I think that's so powerful for a lot of people to hear, because customers really move the needle.
They do.
If they have an integration that they want to see, all they have to do is say, hey, I need this, I want this, it's going to improve my workflow, my life, whatever. And companies will jump at the opportunity to develop that, to develop a solution.
Absolutely.
I think that's also very apparent in terms of the integrations that we've announced over the last 6 months. So on our last Massive Insider, we talked a bit about Cumulo, and we talked a bit about Mimir, and that they would be launching. Well, those integrations are out there now, and customers are using them.
They are.
And we also had open drives as well, right?
Yeah.
Delivering to direct on-prem storage. And I feel like that is a testament to not only Massive expanding into the enterprise, but the enterprise expanding into Massive, saying, we need this, and here's what we need to use this.
We've got like really good cloud integrations, like with Box and Backblaze and Google and AWS. But then all of these other non-cloud kind of tools like Open Drives, Mimir, Cumulo,
Media Silo.
Those are all really, really important for helping them also get their customers more engaged in adopting their products as well. Because the faster we can help their customers get their data into, say, Cumulo or Media Silo or Open Drives, the faster it is for them to get their customers to adopt and get the value out of their capabilities as well.
This has been fantastic. Thank you for the rundown. I really appreciate it. Thank you for joining us. And I can't wait to have even more conversations on more Massive Insiders.
Yeah, me as well. Thank you again for bringing me welcoming me into the company. I'm really thrilled to be here. And the other thing I'll just say is Massive is not just a product company. We are humans. That the team is just incredible. And a lot of the reasons why people buy from us is not just because of the product, and the product itself is phenomenal, but our engagement model, our responsiveness, just how kind we are, how quick we are to jump on to resolving issues. And there are very few issues with the platform, but we're all over it, right? And his customers just love working with us. And that's got to remain core to our DNA as we continue growing.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Gene, thank you so much. And we'll chat with you next time on Massive Insider. Well, folks, that's it for the second edition of Massive Insider. Hopefully you've seen where the product's going, what new features you can come to expect, and you can even meet up with us at a few of the events that we talked about today. Thanks for coming, and I can't wait to see you on the next one.